Hi YouTubers, welcome back to my YouTube channel, The World I Live In, at the Susan K World, where it's all about personal growth and development. Well, don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification button so that when our new videos are uploaded, you will be the first to know. Well, today we come with a subject that is quite interesting. Many parents have challenges with it. I personally have had a challenge with it, experienced it, and I'm here to share with these very, very profound ladies. They are parents. We're going to be discussing how to introduce the sex talk to your kids. And we will be talking about body image and what happens if your 8, 6, 7, 10-year-old comes and says, "Mommy, I have a crush on Tom." Those are things we will be discussing in this session. So you are very welcome to follow us as we dive in. Well, here we are with Evelyn and Doreen. Just be ready to share your. So here we are. I had an experience some time back, though my son is old. He's no longer a teenager. He's a big man. He's 21 years, 20 years. So I remember this day, it was a Sunday, and I was just seated after having lunch, just watching TV, but I think literally the TV was watching me. I was on my phone. So he comes into the sitting room, and when he comes into the sitting room, at the corner of my eye, you know, I see this human being turning and going back. So that's when I lift up my eyes and I look at the screen. I had muted the sound, so when I look at the screen, there are 2 rhinos mating. There were 2 rhinos mating. It was a movie, and here were 2 rhinos mating. So that U-turn that he made, I was like, "Okay, young man, please come back here." What is this? I was like, "Young man, what is happening? Why did you just turn and he's like, "Mommy, aren't you seeing?" I'm like, "Seeing what?" So it was really interesting, but it's in that moment that it did hit me. I was just trying to be mom, not to be embarrassed. I do, right? So, I was just trying not to be embarrassed, but I was actually embarrassed. So on that day, I really purposed, you know. So I told him, "No, that is something very, very simple. So you shouldn't. It's normal." So in that moment, of course, I tried to play it cool, but it hit me in that I realized there's something I needed to do. To that age, I had never spoken to my son about body image. I had never spoken about sex. And these were like taboo. I'm like, "Oh my God, how do I even
Who's going to do this for me?"
Even how do such words come out of my mouth, and especially when I'm talking to my child. So it was really a scandal, but somehow I managed it. So now I would like to know from you ladies, since you're mothers, have you started talking to your children about these very huge experiences? Have you spoken to your children?
Yes, we have.
And how have you introduced the whole sex subject to your children?
Oh, okay. What should I say? One of my girls had a crush.
Okay. But
I've created such an environment where we are so close. We are I listen into my girls. I listen into my babies. So I've been that listening ear since they were babies. So it's like between us, we don't hide anything.
No secrets.
There are no secrets. So even when they see something, they're like, "Mommy, I saw this. What does it mean?" You know, like I will say many a times they would ask me, "Mommy, where do babies come from?" Especially my elder girls, they would see me pregnant every season. They would see me with a new baby. And then at first we used to buy babies from the supermarket. Time came we could no longer buy babies from the supermarket because they would grow and kick, and they would see the babies kick. Then time came and the babies would come out of the umbilical cord. It would open and the baby pops out of the umbilical cord. Like there are some of those questions that they would really want to know how the baby get out of that umbilical cord. So sometimes they would tell them they cut. If they don't cut, the umbilical cord must open. If it refuses. So one time I give the umbilical cord story to one of my boys, the young ones. He was just curious. He saw a neighbor pregnant and said, "Mommy, our neighbors are going to have a baby." how will the baby cross from the stomach? Like how the baby get out of the stomach? So one of my elder girls says, yeah, they cut the stomach. Then I was like, yeah, the umbilical cord opens. So one of the boys, the boy who is 4 years old, says, no, mommy. The umbilical cord, you don't know. It was so embarrassing. You know, a 4-year-old telling me, mommy, you don't know.
Don't know?
No, it's not the umbilical cord. I'm like, what happens? Where? You don't know. And then he starts narrating the whole scenario. I was in shock. I was in so much shock. However, to him, it didn't really look embarrassing. And then I wondered where he had so innocent, and I wondered where he had seen it from. And then I realized he had watched a cartoon.
Oh, okay.
So you realize many a times we try to protect our children from some of these, you know,
these
and then
very serious subjects.
You call it serious, you know, the culture has trained us these things before 18. Keep away, keep away. And now the generation that we are raising today, if you do not introduce these topics as early as possible, YouTube will introduce it, the cartoons will introduce it, the friends out there will introduce it. So I realized the earlier I started, the better. Because I realized they were jumping at a very high speed.
Very, very, very high speed.
Yeah. So we started with the smallest, simplest things, you know. And then so you caution them, like we talk about it like it's normal. So it's a life, like it's normal.
It's normal. So Dora, how have you experienced that? Talking about that very crazy, crazy subject, which nobody should. How have you introduced it to your children?
Yes, I also came to a point when I had to like be open to them about the whole issue of sex. One of my sons was becoming very close to the gate man, you know, and one day he comes and he's like, I want the gate man to feed me, I want the gate man to carry me, I want the gate man to all this. So I was getting really concerned. So I asked him, so I tell him, are you okay? Does he
touch you in any way?
In any way? And he's like, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, so that was a light bulb moment for me.
Okay.
So I started as early as 4. He was 4, and the others were a little older, and then there was a 2-year-old. So we started the conversation right there. We call the private parts by their name.
By their names.
No whatever secret words or code words.
Codes.
It is that.
Yeah, parents usually use codes.
Yes,
yes,
no.
you've given
it
them
is that.
codes.
Don't allow anyone to touch your penis. Do not allow anyone to touch your boobies. Do not allow anyone to touch like that. So as we progressed, different scenarios would take us back to the table to talk about this. Yeah, so start as early as you can. Otherwise, the child will lose trust if they begin hearing it from someone else. Because they've trusted you as their mom, as their parent. So now if they hear it from someone else, they'll feel like, oh, maybe she doesn't want to talk about this.
It's very ugly.
It's very ugly. She doesn't talk about
this.
It's
a bad thing, actually, that you shouldn't even talk about it. Well, parents out there, it's very important that we introduce body image, the sex talk to our children as early as we possibly can, as it's already been noted that we have the internet, which really has opened our children to so many, many things. You can no longer hide. You can pretend that these things don't exist, that you even don't know about them, but your children are bound to hear them from somewhere else. So the sooner you get your children to understand them, the better. I remember if you have an older child and you've not spoken to them about the sex issue. Well, my experience with my son is that, as I mentioned earlier, that it was, first of all, very terrifying, because this was like, okay, most probably he's doing what I am doing. So that was the biggest even scare, the fact that actually he even knows what actually adults do. Because, of course, in most cases, you will only be thankful to God. It's very rare. These days, teenagers are involved in sex, whether you like it or not. That very sweet daughter that you have, that very serious son that you have, when they're around you, they're very serious, but when they're out there, they're doing so many things. So you might actually be surprised that they know more about sex than you do. They know so many things about sex than you do. So it's very important that you do talk to them. I remember what happened that day. I didn't talk about it. but I took off time. I never even faced him. I remember we sat in the car. I made sure he sat in the back. He sat in the back, but I started asking him certain questions, and of course he was like, by the way, mommy, don't think I don't know about sex. I know all these things about sex, but it's just that, so it's not that I don't know. So now I knew the fact that he said, mommy, it's not that I don't know. So I'm like, where have you heard from? It's like, mommy, I mean, we're boys. We talk about these things with our friends and all this. I'm like, what do you talk about exactly? So anyway, I realized he's already a big man. You should respect his space. So I started talking about safe sex because that is what it is. Now you cannot lock him up. You cannot say anything otherwise. And he's a big man. So it's important for those who have teenage children that you start talking to them about protection. How should they protect themselves? Because at the end of the day, if they just go out there firing whatever they are firing, they are going to end up becoming a grandma at a very young age. You may not want that. And they may end up with so many diseases which you could actually have avoided. So let's talk to our children. Let's be open to them and tell them about all these things for their own safety and for our own peace. And that makes things much easier. Actually, you realize that your children begin to trust you more when they have a crush on you. Actually, from the time that I spoke to my son about that, now he started being more free talking about his girlfriend. I was like, okay. Now I started hearing more
About her.
about the girlfriend whom I have never seen up to now, but I know she's out there. But at least it was a step in the right direction.
Yes.
Because I think by mommy not opening up about this made him even fear to tell mom that he has a girlfriend. So you keep on even wondering whether your son is okay, is he normal, is he this? But at least that did open for him to be able to speak to me about it. So the other thing that I wanted us to share is, if your daughter came to you today, your 8-year-old girl, and said she had a crush on someone, how do we treat crushes when our children walk to us and say, Mommy, I have a crush on Casper?
Mine is so easy. I'll be like, what? You have a crush? Oh my God, like, who is he? So it's like we are friends. So I'm like, who is he? So I'm like, but then I'm like, you know what? It's just a crush. I had a crush when I was your age. Even when I didn't, I would ideally make it so friendly.
Yes.
So my girl had a crush. Yeah, first it was a friend who had a crush. And she's like, oh my God, she has a crush, mommy. She has a crush. Oh my God. So it's like they would because they are friends and they're always together. So they would witness it and walk through it together. And I saw the friend opens up to me and tells me, and she opens up to me. So I told her, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. She thought she should hide it, you know, but thankfully enough, because of the way we've raised them, she was open enough to tell me she has a crush. And I said, does the guy have an idea about it? The boy is like, no. But she was
thing, it's
dying.
a secret.
She literally,
Never tell.
yeah, she literally,
Never tell.
but she had written letters
Did she ever deliver the letters?
so when she opens up to me, she tells me, mommy. So she tells me, now deliver for me. So I'm like, oh my God. So we talk about it. Then I made it so, I actually told her, you see, it's okay to have a crush. It's normal. You know, so I told her, you see, today you have a crush. Tomorrow you'll wake up and you'll be like, what just happened? Did I? So I'm like, it's normal. It happens, you know. So these are just emotions. And so I'm like, it's not a bad thing to feel about it, you know. But how you go about with the feelings is what matters the most. So for us, it was more about managing the feelings. And then also for her to know that it's okay, because the moment you hinder them and then try to hide them, you realize that when they grow up and perhaps they'll subdue their feelings and keep hiding the feelings. And then the one good day like this, the feelings will come out of the blue, and they'll not be under any supervision. You don't know what they will do, and you know they'll jump into any relationship just like that. But you see, here I had enough time to tell them about their worth, who they truly
Their
are,
value as
their
girls.
value as girls. So, and then to also show her, you know, these feelings, they're just feelings.
They're just
It's just like,
feelings.
yeah, it's just like how I feel about you when I see you. It's like, so I would tell them, you see how you feel when mommy is not home for 2-3 days, and they're like, mommy, please come back home. Mommy, I miss you. I'm like, it's normal. It's actually very normal. So it's like we brought it from the strange island back home.
Made them understand that
Made-
every girl goes
Yes.
through it and they overcome it.
Yes.
So you'll grow, you'll outgrow it.
Yes.
It's
So
not
we
here
also
to stay.
Also to find out how it came, what ignited it. So I realized they had activities they had done together, Christmas shows, and in the process of engagements, that's where the feelings developed. So I could actually tell that it's the boy who kept telling her, I like you, I like you, I like you. So the girl with time developed the feelings. So we made it so friendly. So we got to know the family got to know us, and then so I made sure everything was just as open, not in hiding. So in the process, my 7-year-old picks it up. She also tells mommy, me I have a crush, but I tell you, mommy, me I'm going to have 5. Because this one likes me, this one likes me, this one likes me. For her, she had very many likes. But then the beauty is with her, because she knows who she is. So there are those that would like her and she'll tell you, do you still like me? Do you really like me? So she teased. There's a boy she teased that the boy said, I no longer want. Now I'm okay. I said, now we are good to.
I've been cured of the crush. That is quite interesting. Dora, you had such an experience?
Yes, I did.
How did it
And
make
now-
you feel? How did it make you feel?
Oh, me, I freaked out.
As a parent, you
Oh my
freaked out.
God. I was like, what is happening? What did I expect? I freaked out. I just wanted the ground to open and swallow me up. I cannot face this now. This is my good girl. I have raised her in the word. Like when you raise her in the Bible, feelings are dead. Yeah. Oh my God.
So why you?
I called up a friend. And then she's like, the best way to deal with this is just be open.
And that was me.
She's like, just be open. I was like, I can't handle, I can't. So anyway, so yeah, so
So
of course,
it's good actually to have that support structure.
Very
If you
good.
can't,
Very
if you
good.
can't, you should have that friend, that person that you
Yes.
trust that can talk to,
To the child.
your child
Yes.
up to until when you personally
Come
become
up, yes,
that
yes,
comfortable with
yes.
them. I remember one thing. There's a video that I did on parenting, and in there I was talking about how I thought my parenting needed me to step up. And I really had a lot that I had to change. And one of the things I remember that I know that helped me, I remember one night telling the Lord, I went on my knees and I just said, God, I want you to teach me to be the best parent that I can ever be. And I also said, my prayer that I still pray up to today, that I want my children, whatever situation that they are in, I should be the first person that they call.
yes.
If they are not with me, I should be that first person that they call. Why? You have to build this friendship with your
Yes.
child to the extent that they know. I've always said that, you know, the worst thing that, okay, one of the bad things that can happen is if my son was driving a car and he knocks somebody and the person dies.
Who's the first person he'll call?
Who is the first person that he's going to call? That person should be me.
Yeah.
You know why? Because if he calls his friends, you know what they are going to tell him?
Cover up.
Run. They are going to tell him, run. They are going to tell him, the car, do this, dump the car. You know, they can never give him something that is solid. Only you, a mother, will be, because in that moment, the child is so scared. So I think it's important for us as parents,
Yes.
as we wind up on how to introduce the sex subject to your children, how to help them when they have these crushes. It's important. The most important thing that we should know is that we should be best friends with our
Yes.
children. Let's make our children as comfortable to the extent that when they get into trouble, you're the first person they walk to, you're the first person that they call. Well, I would like to encourage you to subscribe, to comment, to share, and also make sure that you watch every video that we upload. See you next time.